Hello, and welcome to By the Way with Beth and Stacey.
Yes, another fun day.
That's right.
A beautiful day. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize we're both kind of in the Navy.
We match today. We don't
How
always
fun.
match, but sometimes we do.
No, how fun.
So good for us.
Good for, good for us. It's going to be a good day because we're matching.
Yeah. So what's new with you?
Oh my gosh, what is new? And then when you know how so busy you are. Well, we're getting ready to get really busy at the theater.
Yes.
We got some fall events coming up.
We do have fall events.
We're going to have something about every Saturday night.
In August, we have the end of August, right? Is the mother
the 19th.
August 19th, mother-son carnival. Is that what we're calling it?
The superhero event.
Superheroes. So, there's daddy-daughter dances. Well, this is for the boys out there and their mamas.
Yep, and then I think we have another daddy-daughter dance in September sometime.
Okay, daddy-daughter dance in September.
And then October, we got a lot of stuff. Getting ready to going to do that witch's walk, which I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I've never been to one of those.
Well, I haven't ever planned one. I've never been to one, but we're going to work on it and get that going. And the Harry Potter event.
Yeah, we're going to try to have a Harry Potter event at the end of the month.
The 3rd. Yeah, I can't remember what we've got planned. Oh, I think I'm not. It's September is not the daddy-daughter. The first weekend of October is the daddy-daughter dance. The second weekend of October is the witch's walk. The third Saturday, which is the 21st, I believe, of October, is the Harry Potter trivia. And then the last Saturday will be the parade. And we have the band, the benefits coming in after the parade. So we're going to bring a band in.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so we got a lot going on in October.
Yeah.
Try to generate some money for the theater because we're low on funds.
That's right. Yeah. So if you're not familiar with what we're talking about, the Town Theater is what it was formerly called in Flora. Our movie theater has been taken over by a 501c3 called Nostalgia Theater, which Stacey and I are both very involved in. It's really Stacey's little baby. And we are in the middle of renovating the theater. And we have made so much progress.
We have made a lot of progress.
But the building desperately needs a roof, and we do not have the funds for that, nor are we getting any grant money in for that right now. So if you feel led to
help
throw
us
some
out.
money, it is a 501c3 and completely tax deductible. So
it is, and our plans for the theater, it's not to make money, it's to give back to the community after we get the building, restore a building downtown and use it for good things and for the kids, a lot of artistic things happening there. And
it's going to be beautiful. So
it's going to be beautiful.
Rent it as a venue. You need a place to have a wedding, a reception, baby shower, birthday party.
It's
actually available now to rent for any of those events. It's just and if it would rain, the building does not leak in the area where the event would be.
No.
It's only near the
very
south corner
south
of our
side.
building. So
when it rains in the basement, so that's okay. But it'll make a beautiful wedding venue.
Oh yes, absolutely.
We've seen it decorated. Well, we decorated it for the daddy-daughter dance. It was beautiful and
gorgeous.
And the winter ball at the school in January.
That one was my favorite, actually.
It was beautiful. They made it look really, really good. And it looked really good because they had all them kids they made come in and help.
Yeah, they had a lot of help.
But no, we're ready to go on that. So that's happening. And then just bought the house next door and going to do short-term rentals there. So I've been painting. I probably got paint in my hair. That's what I've been looking for. If I got paint in there. I'm the worst. I love to paint, but I am the worst, the sloppiest painter in the world.
Yeah, Jason says I'm sloppy too, but I think I'm fine.
I think I'm good too, but my sisters would beg to differ.
Oh.
But they helped me, but I painted just as good as they did. Maybe not Diane.
Well, it's your place, so what do they care? If you want to be sloppy, let her be sloppy, girls.
Well, when Jim gets back from his mission trip, I'm just going to have him rip up all the carpet. I'm like, hey, there's hardwood floor underneath there, so we're going to rip up all this carpet when we're done. So I don't
that'll
care.
Be nice.
Paint away.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay, so as you guys know, we start every episode with an old advertisement. Some of them have been really old. Some of them have been in the 50s. That's where we're at now. May of 1952, Better Homes and Gardens. We've this next ad I think is kind of funny. I'll show you the front cover, which you guys have probably seen it before. We're going to visit these because there's just
they're full.
They're full of ads.
They are so much thicker than normal magazines
today.
Oh my
gosh! Yeah, look at this big thing.
That's probably at least an inch.
Yeah, it's totally. But here's the front cover, and like I said, I bought these at auction years ago, and yeah, 1952. La 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 la. There we go. Better Homes and Gardens. We were just talking about how we love this Florida ceiling windows. And I said, well, if I have a house that's got floor to ceiling windows, I want to see the Gulf of Mexico right outside of them.
Yeah.
But this ad, oh my gosh. So, I mean, it's just, oh boy. Okay, Ty, you can show. Best investment I ever made, says the husband in the hammock.
Oh my goodness.
It's a lawnmower. Okay, let's just take a look at this gal.
Yeah.
Really? And I'm pretty sure if we could see her feet, she'd have high heels on.
Oh, probably.
You can really take it easy when there's a smooth running Worcester shear master in the family. So effortless to operate that even the gals like to use it. Sharp cutting, star temp blades that stay sharp longer. Clutch and speed controls right at your fingertips. Totally enclosed chain and sprocket. Easy to get at oil cups. Genuine Timekin roller bearings. Big traction grip tires. And a dependable 1.6 HP 4-cycle Briggs & Stratton engine.
Oh, yeah, I'm super impressed. I'm sure she is, too.
You'll get years and years of faithful service out of this fine power motor, and wife is what it should actually say.
Oh, my.
Backed by Worcester's half-century reputation as makers of America's finest lawnmowers. Right today for an illustrated literature. I love this. Worcester 21-inch shear master, free and attractive fully illustrated folder describing in detail the many outstanding features of this great power mower. Right today to Worcester Lawnmower Company, division of Savage Arms Corporation, 87 Broadway, Chicopee Falls, Massachusetts.
Oh my! So
look at, I love that.
A division of Savage Arms. That's interesting. So Savage Arms is a firearm manufacturer.
And they make lawnmowers too?
Guess so.
I don't know. Best investment I ever made. Who looks that good mowing their yard?
Not me. Also, I don't mow the yard.
I don't mow the yard either, but
I've done it like once since 1999, probably.
Yeah, I don't mow the yard either. Because Jim is, oh my gosh. He is one of those weirdos that he
loves to mow.
Well, he does mow. He does mow, and we have like 4 or 5 lots now. And he's got a riding lawnmower, but he prefers to push. You know, but like he's one time he'll go this way, and the next time he'll go this way, and then another way. I'm just like, it looks like art. It looks like aliens that put crop circles in our yard. It's like, I don't miss that.
Yeah, that's how I mow too.
So it's not good enough, and people think that I'm not the smart one in the relationship. You did a terrible job. It's like, really?
So let me tell you about when I mowed recently.
Okay.
So we always had a push mower, but just in the last year we got a rider. And the reason I never mowed before is because I could not start the push mower because I'm left-handed, and the pull thing is on the right side. So lawnmowers, another item that are made, push lawnmowers are made for right-handed people, not left. Right-handed people don't realize all the things in the world.
Yeah, I'm right-handed. I had no clue.
Yeah, so that is another episode.
Maybe left and right-handed people.
Yes, but anyway, so we got this rider. So we're getting ready to go on vacation, and Jason had a lot of things on his to-do list before we could leave to go on a 7-day vacation this summer. And one of those was mow the yard. And I thought, I'm going to help this guy out. I have a little extra time this afternoon. I finished my work because I had taken the whole week off. So we left on a Tuesday, and it was Monday, I think. And I thought, I got time. I'm going to mow the yard for him. And it went really well. Well, first I had to Google how to start it. And I had to actually have I had to have my 14-year-old daughter come out and help me because she's used to riding the mower, not just that mower, but also her grandpa's mower. And so she helped me get it started. And then I took off and I mowed and I did great. But Jason had just tilled the garden like a few days before, and it looked soft, the garden part. And I knew that, and I knew better than to go into the garden. I wasn't going to. but I accidentally did a little bit with my front tire of and I turned and I hit that mud in that tilled garden, and the whole front of that mower sunk. And then I was like, well, darn. What
you
am I
were sunk, and the mower was sunk.
And so Chris and I, she's very smart, and she's the 14-year-old. She came out, she hooked up her four-wheeler to it, and we were going to pull it out. And the four-wheeler did not have enough power to do that. And so then we were like, what do we do now? Because I didn't want Jason to know. I was trying to surprise him. So I'm like, I'm not going to tell him that I drove the mower into the mud. I'm not going to tell him any of this. So I did what any good wife would do, and she called Jim Earlywine. And
yeah.
First I called my dad, I think, but he wasn't available. So then I called Jim. And Jim was like, I'll be right over with the tractor, because that's how Jim is. He's always ready to help. And Stacey followed on the golf cart that they have.
With Jack and Joanna.
And Jim showed up in this great big tractor.
Oh, yeah, his tractor that he loves.
Hooked it up, pulled me right out of that little section of the garden. Okay. Then my dad did show up, and so he kind of helped me get around the rest of the garden area where it was still a little soft, and he also helped me get around some of the other areas that were difficult, and he may or may not have just finished the whole thing for me. I think he might have. But anyway, so Jim and Stacey left, and I wasn't going to tell, not that I really keep secrets from Jason, because I normally don't, but I wanted to surprise him. I didn't want to say anything about that.
Surprise.
I didn't want to say anything about that, because we were getting ready to go on vacation, and everyone was happy, and I didn't want to ruin it with like, oh yeah, and I
destroyed your garden.
Yeah. So I smoothed over that little section of the garden, and so he pulls in the back driveway near the garden that evening after work, and he walks in the back door, and he said, "So who pulled you out?"
Oh, you couldn't even trick him for a minute?
I can't get anything past him. "So who pulled you out?" And I looked at him, I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, "Who pulled you out of the garden?" And I'm like, "Jim Earlywine did it." He's like, "Well, that was nice of him." He's like, "What happened?" I'm like, "I was trying to do you a favor, and I didn't mean to hit the garden, and I did, and then it sunk." And then he's like, "It's fine." He wasn't upset
he didn't, because nothing was planted in there.
No, and he was just happy that I mowed the yard.
Well, and it gave Jack a chance to get in your chicken coop and play with your chickens.
That's right. Jack came into the chicken coop.
Which I can't believe, because now he wants chickens. But yeah.
Well, I got off on a little tangent there, and we kind of went through a lot of time now. We need to go to commercial already. But when we come back, we're going to get into our topic, which is Maysville. So we'll be right back.
At your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville, you can count on experts to have the solutions to keep you running on the road or in the field. More than just your car, the Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville carry a large inventory of Napa products for farms, heavy trucks, and just about everything that moves. Experienced associates understand your needs and are ready to help with the perfect part at a great value. That's Napa Know-How at your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville. Briscoe Surplus It All Shop. Looking for rugged boots and footwear from great brands like Lacrosse, Rocky, and Carolina? They're there. How about top-notch small engine parts and service? Briscoe Surplus Sales has it. Whether you're wiring your switches or switching your wiring, Briscoe Surplus Sales has the solution and the know-how to help you get the job done right the first time. Briscoe Surplus Sales, your one-stop do-it-all shop.
We like technology at Flora Savings Bank. Here's what you can accomplish in our mobile banking app in less than 30 seconds. See account balances in your transactions, set up an account alert, make a transfer between accounts, get an alert text message about your transfer, pay a bill, turn your debit card off and then back on. It all happens in the palm of your hand with our free My Bank to Go app. Search My Bank to Go in the App Store or Google Play and give mobile banking a try. Flora Savings Bank, member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Doors, paint, windows, electrical, plumbing, and much more. Oh yeah, give me all your guns too.
John Lucas.
What?
You better be dreaming about all the stuff we sell here at Zink Building Center.
Oh, I would. Zink Building Center in Louisville on Route 45. It's a cool place.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I'm Beth Cooper.
I am Stacey Earlywine, and we are talking about the early days of Maysville.
Yeah.
And I would imagine there's a lot of people that don't even know what Maysville is.
Yeah, they're like, Maysville? I never heard of it.
Never heard of it, yep.
So let's tell them.
Let's go a little bit into Maysville.
Okay, Maysville is located where, like, the southern part of Clay City is. It would be, like, south of Route 50.
Just right
there at that main Clay City intersection, that whole little area there.
Yeah, my family settled it. My mother's family, my grandfather Roy Franklin, they're all. I mean, my Uncle R.C. lives in my grandpa's house now, and they're all Maysville. My old shop, Cutting Up, was started in an old home there in Maysville, and where the old shop sits now, is in Maysville.
Maysville was built around 1818.
Yes.
And it was there before Clay City, correct?
Yes, yeah.
So Maysville was named by Daniel Mays.
That's right.
He wanted to name it after himself, as any town founder should do. Because
they all do.
Well, so would I.
I would too.
If I founded a town, it would be Bethsville.
Yeah, Earlywineville. I'm trying to make my own block down
Cooperstown. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I know. I totally would. I'd be like John McCauley, and I'd be the first judge, executioner.
The first everything. Yep. First sheriff, me. First
Daniel Mays.
Council member, me.
Yeah. First judge, me. First sheriff, me.
Yeah.
First king, me. And queen. Why not?
Yep.
I'll let you go ahead and take some lead on this one.
Okay. So, among the first merchants in Maysville was a man named David Duff, and he came around 1820. So that was about 2 years later before there was really merchants there. So it sounds to me like Daniel Mays, kind of like Macaulay, had sort of carved out a little place for himself in 1818, which is really only about 8 years after Macaulay was here.
Macaulay showed up in 1811. So now
I thought it was 1810. Was it 1811?
1811, I think.
Okay.
Right.
Okay,
who knows?
right around there. But anyway,
knows,
not too many more years later, Daniel Mays shows up, and he starts an actual town, Maysville. And then there was a man named Robert Meade. He was actually Rena Lynch Thomas's great-great-great-grandfather.
Yeah, I love that, too.
He bought 10 acres in Maysville, and so then there's still a street there, I believe, named Meade Street.
Meade Street,
and it is named after Robert Meade.
That's kind of neat.
So some towns back then stuck around longer than others.
Right.
Maysville was one that actually stuck around and prospered and did really well.
And it did do well.
For a while. They had mail delivery. And that was on State Road, which I think is what the other main road was named. Is that right? Is that what you understand? Like the one that goes north and south?
Yeah, I think so. 'Cause the one that goes east and west is Vincennes Street. That's where my grandparents' house is at. But I think State it goes north and south.
And Vincennes Street was named because that was originally the main trace or thoroughfare between St. Louis and Vincennes. It all went right through there.
Yeah.
So people. Vincennes is in Indiana, for those of you that aren't from here. Vincennes, Indiana, and then St. Louis, Missouri, and that was the main pass-through between those places. And it says mail ran every day between St. Louis and Cincinnati on that road. So if you keep going past Vincennes, then you get to Cincinnati, Ohio. So that was really a real well-traveled area.
Yeah.
No wonder they prospered. They were right there on the main drag, basically, between these big cities, St. Louis, Vincennes, and Cincinnati.
Right. So, like, the next time you're, like, going down Vincennes Street, the Clay City Cemetery, excuse me, sits on Vincennes Street. So, next time you're driving down through the old Saddle Club is on that street. Next time you're traveling that way, just remember, back in the early 1800s, that's the mail carrier route.
Yeah. So, the first church service in Clay County was in Maysville. And we talked about this a little bit on our episode about churches, but it was in the home of John Macaulay, the founder of Clay City. Of Clay County. But he lived close enough to Maysville. And he was also he was on all the boards and everything.
Oh yeah.
And he was the guy selling liquor to the Indians. But he and he owned slaves, but he was the guy that had the first church service in his house.
Yes.
And that was around 1820 or 21. And the preacher's name was Lorenzo Dow, and he was a traveling preacher, and he held several religious services around the Macaulay home. So this guy was one of those preachers that was like a circuit rider preacher. He ran a circuit, and everyone called him crazy. So a real quick story on this guy is that, and I might have mentioned this in another episode, but it's been a long time ago, is that one time he got to a town, and they were having issues because someone in the community was stealing pigs.
Yeah.
Hogs. And he was like, I know exactly how to handle this. And he gathered everyone. He's like, I'm going to throw a stone at the person that is stealing these pigs. And he gets a big stone and he rears back and he gets ready to throw it. And one person in the whole crowd ducks. Mm-hmm. Oh, you did it. Yeah. You did it. You're the one that ducked. So you're the one that, I mean, that's pretty clever way to figure out who's stealing the pigs.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
If you think about it, you don't want to get hit in the face with a stone.
Yeah. Kind of like that story in the Bible where the guy, there was 2 different women and they both were saying the baby was theirs.
Yeah.
And the judge or whoever was like, okay, then we'll just split the baby in half. We'll cut it in half.
We'll cut it in half.
And then the real mother was like, no. She can have it. She can have it.
Yeah.
And he's like, aha, you're the real mother.
You're the real mother.
Yeah. Pretty clever.
Pretty clever.
Okay. So, it says that Daniel Mays was instrumental in securing Maysville as the county seat in 1826. So this is important. You guys all probably think Louisville has always been our county seat.
And it was not.
Wrong. You would get that wrong on Jeopardy, people.
Yeah,
it was
Maysville.
not. It was Maysville. It was our first county seat. First sessions of the court were held in the old hotel, as the courthouse was not built until 1830.
Yes.
So, we're going to talk a little bit about the old hotel too. But so that was 1826, and the first guy in Clay County, I think, was 1810 or 1811.
So it's a while down the road.
It's a little ways down the road, but they're getting there. They're growing. They're doing things the right way and getting everything set up. So this Daniel Mays, he kept an inn. He was an innkeeper. And several families began to migrate to Maysville, people passing through probably on their way to, St. Louis or wherever from the east. And they were like, hey, you know what? This
kind
place
of a
is
kicking place.
Yeah, and Betty over there, she's tired of traveling anyway. The horse is about to give out. We're out of food. And we have no money, so let's stop here. Yeah.
Are you going to talk about Dr. Green?
Yeah, you can. Or
I love Dr. Green.
Yeah.
He seems like my kind of guy.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, pretty down to earth. So he had a practice, and he also ran a hotel, but it was also a general store.
Right.
Which was common, that everyone kind of had their hands in
a little bit of
everything. I think you had to survive.
I think so too.
So Dr. Green, he lived near Salem, Indiana. There he ran a furniture store, a mill, and a
distillery. This is where I love Dr. Green.
The Indians probably bought liquor off of him,
I was going to say, yeah.
He's giving old John McCauley a run for his money. But there were some side effects from him having a distillery.
Little bit.
Yeah. Caused him to be expelled from the Methodist Episcopal Church.
Yeah. So you got Dr. Green, furniture, mill, distillery, goes to the Methodist Episcopal Church, likes his liquor, gets kicked out of church.
That's right.
I like Dr. Green.
His fondness for liquor caused many family problems and also cast a shadow over his otherwise commendable career. So he's a great doctor. Everybody liked him, but he had a drinking problem. Which, if it caused family problems, he might have seriously been an alcoholic or something.
He could have.
Dr. Green's property in Maysville was near the intersection of South Main and Vincennes Street. Okay, so I think South Main was probably that main north and south road. I don't know which road State Road was, but and then Vincennes. So it said this article was written back in 2008, and it said the property was owned by Loretta Wilder at that time. So those Clay City people may know where the Wilder property is.
It's right across the street from where my uncle R.C. Franklin lives, which my grandparents built that house. And so, like, if you're at the caution light in Clay City and you turn south, that first crossroad is Vincennes Street. It's right there. My uncles actually own there's a building on it right now. They store stuff in right there. So it's just right there on the corner.
Okay.
Yeah, just the first crossroad south of the caution light.
Okay. So that's where he lived, but he didn't stay there
He didn't.
forever.
No.
No.
His reputation was tarnished. He got kicked out of the Methodist church.
Well, I think the Methodist church he got kicked out of was when he lived in Salem, Indiana.
You think?
Yeah. I don't think that was here. I think that was when he was in Salem. But he decided to move far away to Louisville, which today is not far away at all. But back then, maybe that whole 6 to 7 mile stretch was far away.
It would be if you was on a horse.
Yeah. Dr. Green relocated to Louisville just before they moved the county seat.
Right.
So do you think he had been given a heads up, like, I think we're going to move the county seat?
Yeah, I'm not really sure, and we're going to do an episode on the county seats and starting in Maysville. So we're just touching on that a little bit, and then how it did get to Louisville. Yeah,
Maysville and then Louisville.
Yeah. Actually, if you're counting Macaulay's, Macaulay had it in his log cabin.
Well, yeah, I wasn't really counting that.
But yeah, there's only been 2, and then Wyatt got moved to how Maysville. But it's just like any other political thing, like Vandalia being the capital.
So
going to Springfield.
So I suspect somebody gave Dr. Green a heads up that the county seat was going to be moved, because he moved just right before. Which this, I think, was kind of the downfall of Maysville. When Maysville started maybe declining a little bit, Louisville grew.
Yeah, well, and the railroad. The railroad went north and established Clay City, which is so weird because it's just up the road.
I know, but to them, I guess it was far. It was so close you could hear the trains and everything.
Oh, absolutely. It's just right north of, literally probably not even
street.
a mile down the road, maybe. But the railroad's what caused its...
Okay, so anyway, Dr. Green purchased 40 acres of land from Crawford Lewis, and then on this acreage it said it stood the old Goebel Mill. I think we mentioned that in another episode. And then they laid out the town of Louisville. It was about that same year that Dr. Green sold half of the interest in his business to Captain William Lynn. I'm not familiar with that name.
I'm not either, but the fact that they call him Captain William Lynn, it makes me want to dive into him.
Yeah, Captain William Lynn, and became known as Lynn and Green. So they had their general store. They carried a large stock of goods, and just known for a big variety of things. And then they also built a pork house and began shipping produce down the Little Wabash River to New Orleans.
I know it, on the flatboats.
All the way to New Orleans on flatboats.
I love that.
So, anyway, that's the story
I just
of
close
Dr.
my
Green.
eyes and picture him going down. But we need to take a quick break, and then we'll come back with the rest of our story about Maysville.
Okay.
Talk about another family.
If you're looking for a loan for your brand new home, call Clay County State Bank. If you want to transfer money so your future will look sunny, call Clay County State Bank.
We got checking and savings and bill pay too.
An online banking, just ask our crew. For all your banking needs, we think you will agree.
Clay County State Bank is the place you need to be.
Clay County State Bank.
At Clay City Banking Company, we're all on the same team, regardless of zip code. At home, work, school, or across the country, you can be part of our team with our cutting-edge mobile banking products. From your hand, you can check balances, transfer money, make deposits, and pay bills. Looking for a loan? We've got you covered with our mortgage, agriculture, commercial, and consumer loans. Join our team today. Clay City, Flora, Louisville, and Fairfield Banking Companies. We're the hometown banks, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
It's the weekend, and your symptoms are worsening. The morning of a big meeting, and you have a bigger sore throat. Ever experienced that urgency after picking up your sick child and your community health center has already closed? You will be able to connect to a provider at crhpc.org. Even if you have never been to CRHPC, you are welcome to utilize our services. Feel better after scheduling a video visit with CRHPC.
Tomorrow. Some fear the uncertainty it brings. Some trust the promise it holds. At Grinnell Mutual, we are always looking forward to tomorrow, growing and innovating. So even if the plans you have for the future aren't the same as the plans that the future holds for you, you can be ready. Because we'll be ready, like we have been for over 100 years. Trust in that. Trust in tomorrow. Talk to your mutual agent today.
Your local agent is on the square. Louisville, Clay County Farmers Mutual Insurance.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. Today we're talking about Maysville.
Yes,
our first official county seat in Clay County.
Yeah, very interesting story. And like I said, and what's sad about that is you go through there and there's not even a sign that says, oh, Maysville. You would never even know it existed.
Yeah.
Never. And
which is kind of a shame. Like, I should have at least a historical marker.
I wonder why it doesn't. Maybe somebody in Clay City should do something about that. Because so we just talked about Dr. Green, who came in, and I'm going to touch on a little bit about a gentleman. And I like this part of the story because my family actually owned the house that was the first house that was built in Maysville. And but anyway, we have a gentleman named Morris Brissenden.
Morris.
Brissenden.
Okay, Morris. I like that name.
He actually was from Edwards County, Illinois.
Okay.
And he moved to Clay County with his parents at an early age. His parents were actually early settlers of Edwards County, and they were from England.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, lovely, Dolly. So Morris was of that strong English stock.
Nice.
Nice.
Quite capable.
Very capable. So Mr. Brissenden's early life in Clay County was connected to the Maysville area when that village was still in the developmental stage. So he's one of the first settlers there.
Okay.
It was here in Maysville that he established a business of slaughtering hogs.
Okay.
So he's a hog farmer, I'm assuming.
Okay. Good money in that.
There is, still is today. Food. Bought from Clay and surrounding counties.
Okay.
In the mid and late 1800s, much businesses were conducted by flatboats on the Little Wabash. And we were just talking about the flatboats. I just think that's amazing. We're just so oblivious to how we get to and from.
Oh, yeah.
And when people traveled, mail, carrier, everything, just, I can't even imagine getting on a flatboat. Yeah. By flatboats on the Little Wabash, Morris was involved in the building of these flatboats and shipping the produce on the river.
Okay.
This was usually done when the river had its annual rise. Because now we're talking, because if you think about it, like you're talking the Little Wabash, getting to the Big Wabash, headed down to New Orleans, there's a big difference in the Big Wabash crossing over into Evansville, like you said, than if you just drive down and see the Little Wabash. So if you had a drought, which we had droughts back then, you're not moving your produce anywhere. So, I mean, it's kind of an interesting...
Yeah, that is interesting.
It is an interesting
thought.
So
much of your livelihood depended on the weather.
Yeah, yeah. The boats were floated into the Big Wabash and then into the Ohio and Mississippi and on to its destination of New Orleans. Yeah, nice. How fun, yeah. And Mr. Brissenden made these trips yearly. And he actually did this for 10 years without any serious incidents, any
That's
accidents.
Pretty good.
Yeah, for 10 years, this man got on that boat, a flatbed. And we're not talking like a nice boat like we're talking now. No. We're talking flatboats.
Very.
Which I'm assuming, I mean, when I think about that, I just literally think of a
raft
kind
of thing.
Type thing is what comes to mind.
I think it was like an early style barge almost, maybe.
Yeah.
But barges have to be pushed, but I don't know.
I don't know. Mr. Brissenden's major undertaking was in 1854. So in 1854, while Mr. Brissenden's building a different home, the first home that he built south of Clay City, 1854 Flora is being established.
Yeah, right around the same time.
So everything's happening around the time. Well, he built this beautiful, beautiful house south of Maysville. This is actually what I was talking about a little bit ago, Beth. The house's location is known as the High View. It is the highest point of Clay County.
Yep, Hopkins Hill.
Hopkins Hill. The farm it sits on this beautiful hill. At this location, he carried on farming very successfully for several years. In 1865, he sold the farm to William Hopkins.
And that's when it became.
And Hopkins was said to have almost 1,000 acres at one time, and the house on the location became known as Hopkins Hill. This house was beautiful. It was a beautiful two-story. I was in it one time, actually, when the owner that I had known was selling it, and he was like, it was being basically chopped up and sold. And
How sad.
Oh, it makes me ill to think about. I remember going up and there was one room that was just nothing but windows. You could literally look up in this top of this beautiful room. Of course, the house is empty because it's being sold or it's being disassembled, I guess. And you could literally just see miles of Clay County. Absolutely beautiful. It was also said that this house actually had ties to the Underground Railroad.
Yeah.
Very historical, very historical. It makes me really sad. This magnificent house stood for more than 100 years. It did have several owners. One of the owners was Charles and Virginia. I'm not sure, Virginia. Race, W-R-A-A-S-E. How would you say that name, do you think? W-R-A-A-S-E. Raise?
I don't know.
And unfortunately, it has since been demolished, which makes my heart hurt. So this beautiful home, the highest point, is gone. There's a new home built on it right now. After he sold the farm, Mr. Brissenden entered the firm of Bagwell, Evans and Company.
Oh.
So do you think he had ties? Do you think he had lawyer ties? That sounds like a lawyer to me.
Yeah, it does. Attorneys' offices always have to go by their last names, and there's always at least 3 of them. Sometimes there's 6.
Yeah, and he continued on with Bagwell, Evans and Company till 1872, when he sold his interest in this firm to Israel Mills. So it had to have been he had to have had a law degree,
something like that.
Or if you're one of the older people that's come around in the of course now we're talking the 1850s. So there's a lot going on.
So one thing I thought was interesting on Morris Brissenden, because he's done all this work and been on the river and all of this stuff, he lost his left hand in an accident when he was a kid. So he's doing all of this stuff
handicapped.
He's handicapped. He's doing all of it with one hand.
Yeah, that's what's amazing about the story. So yeah, and that wasn't an incident that he had when like you said, it was when he was a little boy.
Little boy.
Lost his hand. So he's doing all this basically handicapped.
Yeah.
Which you're talking back in the 1800s. When you lost a limb, you just lost it. You just learned to deal with it.
You just kept
going. So he's a pretty amazing person.
Yeah, he is.
Farmer, businessman, hog,
maybe an attorney.
I mean, that little paragraph. Yeah.
Going up and down the river.
Going up. Yeah. He returned to farming for a few years before again moving to the village of Maysville, and now in 1875. Morris Brissenden built another spectacular brick house. It was in Maysville, and it was still standing until just a few short years ago when my family...
I thought you weren't going to say...
I know, I can't do it now that I'm talking about it, but my parents, my mother and her siblings actually tore the building down, which makes me really sad. At the time when my grandfather owned it, he had built on the front of the house... like the packaged liquor store. I was raised at a liquor store. I'm a lot like Macaulay.
So some of you may know that building as Party Pack.
As the Party Pack. My first hair salon, cutting up hair salon, was in a room. My grandfather put me in there. His oil company, Watch It Oil Corporation, was started there. Franklin Producing, my uncles. Well, my grandfather started Franklin Producing and then turned that over to a couple uncles. So it was I remember what was neat about going into the old home was like when you were in the liquor store part that was built on, like when you walk back to my grandfather's where my mother worked, where his oil company was at, where my hair salon was at, when you walked into this one side door, this door right here went right into the home. So you'd walk in to the original door, go. My grandfather built a hallway back there, then you'd walk into the beautiful grand staircase was all up there.
Wow, I wish I could have went in it.
It was neat. I used to play up there as a little girl all the time. It was really neat.
So
but at the time I didn't have the love for history that I do now.
Right, yeah.
But anyway, so he builds this home. I'd always heard the story, too, that when he built the home out on Hopkins Hill, his wife was actually a school teacher.
Okay.
Brissenden's wife was a school teacher, so she was walking from Hopkins Hill that few miles up into Maysville to teach school. So the reason why he built the brick home, the big brick home, was so that his wife was right there when she taught school.
Which is interesting that she continued to teach after she was married.
Yeah.
Not all of them did.
Yeah. I can't remember what her name was. I can't remember what her name was. I don't think it's ever. I'll find it though.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so his wife was actually a school teacher. That's the reason why he built the brick house.
Mm-hmm.
It says, there was a lot of changes in the 40s and 50s. I think my grandfather must have took it over like in the 80s, maybe. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also known by the Waddles place.
Uh-huh.
It was owned by a Waddles family.
Yep. Mr. Waddles died in 1944, but his wife Belle lived on for a few years under the care of their daughter Hattie.
Mm-hmm.
And Hattie never married, but she lived in the house for several years, and she would let the area kids come in and play and slide down the banister.
Yeah.
And everyone remembers her very fondly, like a really sweet lady. She loved having kids around, and she just loved people in general.
Yeah.
Is what is said about her. So I think she was probably born and raised there and lived there until she was an old woman.
Oh, yeah.
And then your grandfather probably bought it from her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So while living in Maysville, Morris Brisden was engaged in the lumber trade with his son Frank. They had 3 sons.
James, Frederick, and Frank.
Thank you. Yes, James, Frederick, and all of these guys. They're all buried at Clay City Cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
But so now this gentleman is in the lumber business with his sons for several years. Mm-hmm. In addition to his personal business, Mr. Brisden also found time for civic affairs, serving the people of the village as one of its officers. He also represented the people on the county board. Mm-hmm. So from everything you read about Morris Brisden, he was a very nice stand-up guy, mm-hmm. high moral character. Mm-hmm. Everything that he did well. He mm-hmm. just had honor. He just had a lot of respect mm-hmm. from the community and from his circle of friends.
And back then, everyone served in some civic capacity. Even though you were busy and, oh my gosh, all the things they probably had on their to-do list just to keep their farm going and the canning and the food coming in and the butchering mm-hmm. and running their businesses and all this. And we think we're busy today. And yet they still made time, nearly every citizen, to serve in the civic duty in some way.
Well, yeah.
How does that compare to today? I know our population is bigger today, mm-hmm. but still very, very a very small percentage of our population wants to serve in any civic capacity or volunteer position.
It's almost impossible to get somebody
mm-hmm.
to do, mm-hmm. And it makes you wonder, though, if people complained like they do now. A lot of people are like, oh, I would do this, but, mm-hmm. because there's so many Karens out in the world now.
Yeah.
It's just hard to make people happy, but it seems mm-hmm. like we do live in a society where people do not. There's a lot of people. It's shocking to me that there would probably be a lot of people that you could walk in the town of Flora and they wouldn't even know who our mayor was.
Oh, yeah.
They don't even know when city council meets, what city council talks about. The council meetings, nobody probably even reads. Mm-mm. But let's take a quick commercial break and we'll come back with more of Morris Brisden.
Do you bowl like this? That's great. Do you bowl like this? That's great too. That's because whether you're a pro or you just want to have a lot of fun, at Pegel's Silver Dollar Lanes, we have a lane for you. We have galaxy bowling, gaming for kids and adults, Joe's Pizza, a full bar, darts, pool, and fresh and clean bowling shoes. Boy, does that smell nice. So come on down to Pegel Silver Dollar Lanes in Effingham, where we have a lane for you.
My name is Robin Stanford. I own Stanford Marketing. It's a promotional products business along with an embroidery business. And we do custom hats, t-shirts, anything, you name it, we can make it. People like that we do stuff in-house and we can actually make things here and that we're not contracting the work out to other places. We never say no. We always try to find a way to do it. If anybody can do it, we can do it. We are hardworking women, that is for sure. Come to Stanford Marketing in Flora for all your custom and promotional needs.
The insurance specialists have options to tailor to your needs at CSI Insurance Brokers. Experienced insurance brokers at CSI are skilled with all types of insurance plans and policies and represent many companies, including Safeco Insurance. You'll benefit from their detailed expertise, unbeatable premiums, and commitment to customer service. CSI Insurance Brokers and Safeco Insurance Company, providing affordable rates on quality insurance since 1952.
For over 50 years, at your locally owned and operated Royal King Supply in Salem and Olney, we've helped you and your neighbors enjoy an easy country lifestyle. We carry the most thorough sporting goods department around with a huge variety of hunting and fishing gear, camping equipment, and a variety of firearms for any need. Our team is here to help you find whatever you need. Open every day, it's Rural King in Salem and Olney, your locally owned farm and home store.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I'm Beth Cooper.
I am Stacey Earlywine, and we are talking about Morris Brisnan. He is a gentleman that built one of the first couple homes in Maysville.
Yes.
And so we were talking about how Morris was he was an Englishman, very prominent in the community, very community-minded, upstanding Christian man, handicapped man, had lost his hand. And Morris Brisnan died on October 7th, 1914, at the age of 87 years.
That's awesome. I mean, to think about living through all of that and living to be that age, that's really unheard of. I mean, remember the episode where we talked about causes of death?
Oh, yeah.
And I had the book from, like, that time period. Yeah, there was very, very few people that died from old age, and he definitely would have been considered old age. But, I mean, not necessarily that he died of that. He could have had another accident and died, but still, that's an accomplishment. Good for him. Well done, Morris.
Well done, Morris. His wife, Sarah, died 6 months later in April of 1915. They left to mourn 3 sons, James, Frederick, and Frank. They are all buried at the Clay City Cemetery. I actually, Ty, I have a picture of Mr. Brisnan. Would you mind putting that up there? There he is.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't he just look like your grandpa?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, that's Morris Brisnan.
Yeah.
One of the founding fathers
like
of Maysville.
Very down-to-earth guy.
Yeah. Look at his eyes. Yeah. What a wonderful, wonderful man. Yeah. What a good guy.
Yep.
Very upstanding, and him and his family are all. I don't really know whatever happened to James, Frederick, and Frank. I'm assuming since they are all buried at the Clay City Cemetery, my assumption would be that they probably carried on. And then it was one of the main things that took down Maysville was right there. The railroad came in. And once the railroad came in, Maysville kind of disappeared, and then Clay City was born.
Right. Yeah,
when that railroad came in, we don't realize
north a bit.
You know, you can almost think of Maysville like Mooresville. What Moores wasn't it? Mooresville.
Mooresville was a community in
Flora,
near Flora. It's basically out by the West Y, kind of where Julian's is. That was Mooresville, and that was
the Moore family.
And that was a kind of coming about at the same time as Flora. Both of them were being born. Now you think, well, they're so far close together. Why weren't they the same? But they weren't. They were each their own thing. And the railroad. What was the story there? They wanted the railroad to
the depot. The depot. Yeah.
Mooresville didn't want it.
Mooresville was like, we don't want the depot here. We don't want all that foot traffic here in our little town. And you're talking people, the West Y. Yeah. You're talking out by Julian's of the Farmers Market. That's where Mooresville's
within walking distance. So needless to say,
so Frank Nichols
went the way of
Samuel White.
Yeah.
So Samuel White's like, hey, I'll let you build. I'll let you build right here. Put the depot here, and the railroad will go right through here, and I'll name the town after your daughter. That's how all that happened.
So you told that story on another episode, but I think there was a little difference.
Was there?
So it goes that the railroad. It wasn't the founder of the depot that had the daughter named Flora. It was the railroad
conductor,
not the conductor, but the main
builder.
Railroad supervisor, the railroad builder. They told him, if you put the railroad through here, we'll name it Flora after your daughter, and his daughter was named Flora. So it wasn't the
builder of the depot.
No.
But so that's where so their Mooresville's no more. So that's kind of like how Maysville is with Clay City. All happened with the railroad.
Very, very similar situation.
Yeah. So. And you would never know Mooresville. We never kept that alive. Nobody ever kept that, you know.
Nope.
But I would say my guess would be that if there were people that Maysville would be more recognizable than Mooresville.
Because it was the county seat.
Mooresville
was never really more than a community.
Right.
That
just
sort of faded.
Of people. So, yeah.
But so Maysville was actually the county seat. So that was a pretty big deal.
Well, yeah, with Macaulay settling right in there, too. Yeah.
What are you gonna talk about next?
I don't know. I found this
What do you have?
Well, it's funny railroad stories, old time daily sayings,
Is there a
jokes.
year? What year do you think that is?
Well, the top part of it's all rubbed off.
Oh, okay.
Thomas W. Jackson Publications, Chicago, Illinois.
Check the inside
It's an
cover.
old joke book.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I think Don Thomas may have.
Okay.
You know.
Tell me an old joke.
It says, "He who laughs loudest must be reading Jackson joke book." Well, I have to make sure that they're
clean.
Yeah, because
are there dirty jokes
well,
way back then?
I think that sometimes they are.
Well, my goodness.
Well, okay. So, like, here's a cute little. Okay, Ty, can you zoom in on this one? This one's kind of cute and it's clean. Can you zoom in on that? See the guy? So the lady, he's getting ready to head off to the train station, right?
He says, "Well, I must be off."
He said, "Well, I must be off." And the conductor's like, "All aboard?" And the lady's saying, "That's what I thought when I first met you."
Let's show it again. Show it again. Sorry, Ty. Well, I must be off. That's what I thought when I first met you. Okay, so she was ready to get rid of him.
Yep, and some of them
must
were
be off, like he's a little crazy. That kind
yeah,
of off.
let me see. Some of them, I mean, I don't know. Some of them are kind of
Are
funny.
some of
and-
them written jokes, like knock-knock jokes or anything like
Well,
that? Or are they just stories?
I think they're stories.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, boy. I went with my mother. Okay. Okay, let's see if I can read this one. Is it
I
the
think
same
you
one?
got a dirty joke book from Don Thomas. Don Thomas, did you give her a dirty joke book?
That
is too funny.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to. I'm almost afraid.
We might have to research that one a little better.
Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to read some of these.
Let's stick to our quotes. Why don't you pull out a greatest inspirational quote for us?
Well, yeah, because here's what I don't want. This is why we're not going to be a. There was an article on the art of lovemaking that went like this.
Oh no! So yes, we're not talking about that on the show.
I'll go through that book and I'll put a little star by the things that we can. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
What do you have today for a quote?
Okay, let's see here. This one is from Leo Buscaglia.
Okay.
Buscaglia. What kind of name do you think that is?
Italian.
Italiano?
I don't know.
Okay. This is a good one too. The easiest thing in the world to be is you. The most difficult thing to be is what other people want you to be. Don't let them put you in that position.
Ooh, that's really good advice.
It really is, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, the easiest thing is to be you. Just the most difficult is what people
want you to be.
Gosh, yeah, that's
Just
kind
be
of
yourself.
Or what people think, because, gosh, don't you think people can just be... A relationship you have with somebody might be a totally different relationship that I have with them. I think
they can be two different people.
I think personalities just collide sometimes. Because, I'm that type of person that I don't like it when somebody thinks differently of me than who I really am. It drives me crazy. And Jim's one of those type of people. What do you care what people think? It's like, I am kind of that person. Because if somebody perceives me as, loud and obnoxious, which that's a bold, this, that. But I think for women, when you've got that bold personality, you are perceived a little bit different.
A lot of people don't like strong women.
A lot of people don't.
A lot of other women don't like strong women.
That is true.
So,
and I do have that. I have a little bit of that reputation of being strong.
Me too.
Well, the other, what was it? Were you Sunday? I don't know if you were in church Sunday or not.
I wasn't able to make it this Sunday.
But this is funny. So I'm sitting in my normal chair at church. I am that person that doesn't. I sit in the same chair every Sunday. And Trey got up and he said, "I want you to," and I'm not going to get into the whole sermon. He said, "I want you to look at your neighbor and look at them and say, 'You are wrong.'"
Oh.
And so, of course, I'm just like, I don't have a neighbor because, So I look over and all the way across is Amy Allen and Matt Lovett.
Oh.
And so I look at them, they're both staring right at me.
At you.
And they're both going, "You are wrong." And I went, "No, I'm not." And we start
rebel.
We start laughing at that, and then
funny.
And then Trey was like, "Are you the type of person that? Always speaks your mind? You do it out of love, but it's not taken out of love because you're a little bit louder, you're a little bit more boastful, you're a little bit more pushy. You're not afraid to tell people when they're wrong. You will point out people's flaws. Are you that person?" And I'm like. And I look over, there's about 15 people staring in my direction. But you do it out of love.
Right.
You know, because,
Yes,
I'm that
absolutely.
type of person and be like, well, I don't think that's right.
I can always be nice, but I'm going to tell you how it is.
Right.
Too.
Yeah.
So
You have the nicer, you come across a lot nicer than I ever do.
I don't know. I think
you
I'm
do.
kind of rubbing off on you a little bit. I think you're nicer than you give yourself credit for.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
I can do everything with a laugh and a smile. But, I don't know. I just think it's so funny. But, I guess, I just don't think you can change really who you are. But that's a pretty cool quote.
I like that one.
I did, too.
That would be good for young people today because school's getting ready to be back in session.
Oh, can you believe
I think
that?
a lot of, junior high, high school girls are so insecure.
Right.
And I just want to, I want to be, from an older person, this is how, if I remember those days, just be yourself. Just be yourself.
Right.
Don't worry about what other people want you to be.
Yeah,
you be you.
It's hard to believe that school's coming. I hope we don't. I don't know. I'm just glad that I'm glad I went to school in the 80s. I love the 80s. The 80s were great.
I love the 80s too.
I love the 80s, but man, it just seems like it's tough on kids today. School
really
is.
There's
I'm praise God that there was not social media when I was in school.
Oh my gosh, yes.
For
and
some
cameras everywhere.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
And tracking people. No thanks.
It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, I don't think I would. My girlfriends and I, we joke about that. We're like, man, aren't you really glad? I'm like, yeah. Really glad that we didn't
My
have
mom and
that.
dad
We
watch
were
the show,
ornery.
so I'm not going to say a lot.
Well, my parents are both in heaven, so I can say anything now.
Oh, okay.
But now I have sons that'll be like, Mom.
Yeah, I don't want my kids to know either. All the crazy things we did back then.
Yeah, so fun.
But it was fun.
Yeah, but it is difficult. So we need to put all the kids, teachers, administration on all of our prayer lists.
That's right.
They are getting ready to start. It just seemed like
God
this
bless
summer.
those teachers, because I'm telling you what, that is one job I could not do.
Oh, yeah.
Years ago, I worked as a teacher's aide at Clay City, and that was fine. Kids were good, but that was like 25 years ago. But these days, kids are just rotten. No one behaves.
The mental issues that people have.
I just would be the meanest substitute teacher ever. I'd be like, sit down and shut up and do not move, or I'm gonna.
You'd be in the principal's office more now than you were in the 80s.
Oh, I'd be fired on day one. They'd be like, that Cooper woman has got to go.
Yeah, Jim's been subbing at the school, and he likes it. But he did say, at the elementary, it's heartbreaking because, especially with him being a man, when he substitutes, says those little kids just cling on to him, and they just. I would have a hard time with that.
Yeah,
I would have a hard time dealing with the children who don't have the best homes. And
one of my kids told me once, they're like, Mom, some of my friends think you're mean, and I'm like, good.
Yeah, I'm not your friend. Yeah.
I'm glad they do. And she's like, that's what I told him. I'm like, I'm scared of her too. She's terrifying.
Yeah.
I've
always
Mission
told people,
accomplished.
you don't want to be, you're not your child's friend. You're their parent. And if your kids don't hate you, you're not doing your job right. Your children need to not like you sometimes. And,
my kids all take turns,
and
of hating me.
You can be there. You can be now that I'm on the other side of that, and I have adult sons. There is nothing like being friends with your adult children. But when you're raising them, you're not their friend. You're their parent. You're their discipline. And that's I think that's one of the biggest fails parents do is they want to be their friend.
Yeah.
They're like, nope, you're not their friend. One day you will be, and it'll be great.
Right, but today's not the day.
Yeah. Oh, well, wow. We just
blew so much time. It's already time to go. So, quick reminder, follow us on Facebook, By the Way with Beth and Stacey. Reach out to us on Gmail if you need to. It's By the Way with Beth and Stacey at gmail.com. Or watch us on YouTube at By the Way with Beth and Stacey or Channel 100 on Wabash.
Fantastic.
So, thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.
God bless you. Have a great day.